Yo, 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 welcome back to Hit Away Hurts. Today we've got a special episode for you all. I think Mark is muted. So,
Nah, I'm
he's
here.
back,
I'm
he's
here.
back.
That shit was so quick. Like, did you speed up the timer or something?
Right, it's always been 1:30 because
Always,
always,
always been 130. Wow.
always,
So you reckon I'm lacking in my knowledge, is what you're saying?
you're always lacking, bro.
All
Every
right.
day you're lacking. This is what I
Uh,
have to deal with, guys. Like literally.
this is. Can I tell you guys? This was the first day Mark sent me the link for the podcast. Every day I have to post on 5 different platforms notifying people, and Mark doesn't even flinch about it. But today he decided to do something. And now he wants to get a big head. You see, it's just, it really do be like that in business. You know what I mean? It really do.
Let me just say something. You mentioned
Yeah.
a good point there. You said every day that you are the one that does all the promotions, sends me the link and stuff, and
It's
that
true.
is consistency, guys.
Facts, facts,
And
facts.
that leads right into our topic. Now you see what we did there.
I see you, bro.
Uh,
Yeah, get off
so,
podcast.
so, so tell us about the topic, Mike.
All right. So today we are talking about because, well, this is the most consistent question we get. How do you keep showing up?
Yeah.
How do you post quotes daily? How do you post 4 TikToks a day? Don't look today. We posted 2. How do you post your Instagram stories? Like, how do you guys go about it? And it is something that we are blessed with, and it's called content planning. Content planning is when you try to portray a message or a certain level of value or something through your content. And by doing that, the way to do that is by planning it out the week before, right?
Yeah.
And what you guys need to do is you need to understand what you're actually trying to portray, how you're going to portray it, and what days you're going to do it.
Exactly. And like it just takes consistency and you gotta keep doing it. And if you just stop one day, literally, your whole schedule will be messed up. And with posting and all that stuff, like you can literally have, now there's like there's like websites and
Yeah, of
apps.
course.
Yeah,
Of course. Like later and stuff like that. Yeah.
exactly, where you can literally put all your content in those, and then it just automatically posts that shit for you.
Yeah, for sure. And like the problem with that and the reason we don't ideally use that is because we update our content based on the changing trends, right? And that's the main difference between content planning and content adjusting, right?
Yeah.
Like we can plan out a week of content, but the minute we feel like our message or there's something that's not resonating with our consumers properly, we can change it straight up. Whereas in later, it's kind of hard to do that, right? And so the biggest difference between like an average person who watches this episode and is like, all right, I'm going to plan my content a week ahead, and us who plan our content, plan our clients' content, that type of thing, is that we will study what is actually going on that will impact our content, right? How will our content fit into the modern day market? Not only portray our message, but portray our message in the culture of the market, right? Either through memes, either through shorter form content rather than longer content, that type of thing. It's one thing to post consistently, but it's also another thing to be relevant and consistent at the same time. And so
trends are always changing. You never know what's going on.
That's right. And thank you, Mel, for saying the truth. I didn't recognize you last time when you said Market Bed's background was better, but today my background is better. It's the Louis Vuitton pillow.
This is all biased, but it's all biased.
It's not biased at all. She's speaking the truth. Anyways, so there's one thing to be consistent. There's one thing to be consistently relevant, right? And staying relevant is the hard part. So we'll focus firstly on how to stay consistent. Now, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand your title. What is it you're actually doing, right? When we get clients like that are just starting off their business, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, like they're like us. They're like, oh yeah, we just want to help people. All right, cool. How do you want to help people? Like, what do you want to do, right? And then they'll tell us, oh, we want to empower women. Okay, empower women how? Oh, we want to empower women running small businesses. Bang, that's their title, right?
Yeah.
This person empowers women to run small businesses. So we know that the content is going to be focused around women's, like female trends and that type of thing, small business owner stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And any tips and tricks and that type of thing, right? So understanding this so early on in your content planning makes a guide for your content, because I feel like there have been times where we've like changed something really quick in our own content And then I feel like I've run a brick wall, right? Because we've changed it from what we were doing to what we're doing now. And I haven't done enough research to really put the content. And so that's like one day, let's say like one day of lacking of research, and you just lose that ability to see what your content's actually trying to get, and you just run into a brick wall, right? Like posting 4 TikToks a day is hard until you actually know what you're posting about, right?
Exactly.
And doing series, for example, doing parts, running, like going overtime with your videos and that type of thing.
And that's why we talk about content planning. Like if you have a plan in like set in place, then you're not gonna be coming every day and be like, oh shit, what kind of TikTok am I gonna make today? Or
for sure.
What's that word? Or but if you have like a set day where you create batch content, that day you can literally, like, say for example, one day you do all the research. Next day you put that research into action, you start making that content. So it's like you just like when you sit down, you get all the ideas. The next day straight away you're shooting all the like videos, or making all the posts, writing captions, articles, you know what I mean? Because that saves a lot of time, or instead of just like every day thinking of, oh, what am I going to do today? What am I going to post today? This, that. You know what I mean?
100%. And like, at first when we first started, we're like, bro, how are these big businesses posting almost 1,000 pieces of content a day? Like Gary Vee, he posts at least, I'd say, 250 pieces of content across all different platforms, right? A day, right? And you're sitting there thinking like, how the fuck are they doing it, right? But then you realize that all the content that you do can actually be repurposed, right? And the more content you do in your batch sitting of your batch content is more that you can repurpose and more that you can like suppress to bring the value, right? So Gary Vee posts like YouTube videos of him doing like speeches almost every single day, right? And you're sitting there like, bro, like, does this guy talk a lot? Does he just get a stage randomly and start talking? No, like he's done that many keynote speaker things that he just pulls from them the important parts relevant to today's society and puts them in, right?
Yeah.
And he has like an unlimited supply of that. So then now picture that, but a whole fucking industry, right? Like VaynerMedia is huge. Imagine all 50 of them repurposing content from years ago that they never posted, right? That's how they get to those levels of content. And so
and let me touch on a point there. When it comes to repurposing your content, you can't just be like, okay, I'll have this video now, I can post it to literally every single platform on earth. Because if your audience are not on that particular platform, then that's just gonna be a waste. It's gonna like, if you've been posting different shit to those audience and you post something irrelevant, then you're just gonna lose those audience. So, like, let me give you an example. Say you're a digital marketer and all of a sudden you start dancing like Charlie D'Amelio, and you post a dancing video of you on LinkedIn where you've been constantly like speaking to big business corporations and shit. They're gonna be like, okay, what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean?
What the fuck's going on? That's right. Yeah. And like I said, like I've used this as an example. You know, when you walk into a different room, there are different manners, right? You're gonna act certain ways in certain rooms. Like when you're in a room full of like, when you walk into a house where people have died, you're gonna be very quiet, that type of thing. You'll be very formal. When you're walking into a classy restaurant, you're gonna dress up a certain way, whatever, etc. Right? It's the exact same with social media. The content that you're posting on Facebook should be different to the content you're posting on LinkedIn, but it's the same content, just done in a different way. Let me give an example. If I post a clip of me saying what I'm saying right now, like literally right now, as we're talking on Facebook, I'd probably mention something about the government, coronavirus, the vaccine, something that the old people care about, right? But then if I'm repurposing that to LinkedIn, I'd add this part where I'm talking about how you could speak to your CEOs through the content that you're providing, right?
Exactly.
And then if I'm posting it to TikTok, I'd be talking about influencers and how influencers can make heaps of money by posting consistently and getting brand sponsorships because they see the consistency in their content. You see what I did there? It's the exact same information, but 3 different versions of it for different platforms. And people don't understand that. That's why you see people repurpose their Instagram reels on TikTok or their TikTok on Instagram reels, and they forget to even take out the logo. The fuck?
Yeah.
Bro, people are gonna catch you out.
And like all that video, like say for example, like I just said before, like on TikTok, like those people be doing different shit on TikTok and Instagram, and then expect the same result that they got from TikTok that they will get on Instagram. And that's not
100.
going to happen. They're going to lose followers like that. And I just want to go back to a point that you mentioned before, talking about the titles and shit like that. When you're making your titles, make sure they're not fake clickbait. There could be clickbait, but genuine. Because once you set fake clickbait and people start realizing that, okay, now you've made a carousel post, but all the other slides of your post do not have anything to do with the title. They're gonna start catching on, and through that, they're gonna start unfollowing. They're gonna be like, okay, now that doesn't make sense. This isn't what we signed up for. You know what I mean? Because people follow you for a reason. They follow you to get value, and when you're providing fake value, they're literally gonna just move on.
For sure. And not only that, but even the title, like the basic headline you have in your LinkedIn, or the basic headline you have, you know, on your Twitter or whatever it is, right? If you're claiming that you're a business expert, but you know, someone hits you up and says, hey, how do I start a business? And you're like, I don't know, bro, ask the next guy. Like, then you're obviously faking, right? And you lose your credibility that way. And credibility is so important in the business world. Anyway, let's not go off topic. Let's take it back to planning out your content, right? How do you plan out your content in a way that's actually meaningful, effective, and actually does what you're asking for it to do? By that, I mean, if you're trying to, going back to that if you're trying to portray that women have the strength and empowerment to start their own small businesses, and women should have a dominant business strategy, blah, 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 whatever it is. How do you get through that message? Well, the way you through it is that you guard your content in 4 different content pillars. And did you want to go ahead and tell us about them?
Done, bro. I was trying to find, you know what I was trying to find?
Yeah.
I was trying to find the our list of what we do every day. I was gonna use that as an example.
We'll do it soon. Yeah,
we'll do it soon. Yeah. So when it comes to content pillars, there's 4. Actually, there's 5. There's audience, there's creation, there's experience, there is insight and insights. So what's that? No. Let me do it again. So audience, creation, experience, promotion, and insights. Now that's 5.
I'm making sure it's the right ones.
Yeah. So when it comes to like your audience, you got to make sure when you're posting your shit is relevant to your audience. It's the stuff that your audience want to see. Because a lot of times people just post content for the sake of content, forgetting what their audience want. And let's be honest, maybe we've been through that at one stage of our journey. But as you progress, you learn from what you're doing. And when you understand your audience like truly and deeply, you'll know exactly what they want. And the way to do that is literally through trial and error, like posting different shit when you first start out. Like, say for example, you're doing like you're an Instagram manager, or like you're an Instagram like kind of guy, like guru or some shit. So you'll start posting shit about Instagram, the algorithm, start posting about reels, start talking about story ideas, all that shit, and then find which one of those your audience resonate with the most, and then start making those through that. Because I've seen it with one guy on Instagram. He grew his account from 0 to 500,000 followers in literally 6 months, right? And this guy was just because I looked at his whole account, and what I realized was he was posting literally everything to do with Instagram.
The Uber Eats driver was there. Sorry, continue.
Get your food.
No, I got it. All good.
Yeah, so he was posting everything, and then when some of his reels started to popping off, he realized what his audience wanted to see, and he reconstructed his whole Instagram to that one specific niche that will capture that specific audience.
It's crazy. And then he saw the growth, and that's because when you guard your content, like it's like when we do this podcast, when we guard our information in a certain way, in one like path, then you know what you're watching from the start to the end has a result. At the start, we spoke about why posting is consistent is important. And then towards the end, you know that this is how you post consistently and get your message across, right? So that it's the exact same way when you're posting content. At the start, you have to talk about why you're doing what you're doing. or
Yeah.
whatever message you're really trying to get through. And then at the end, they had to have some type of value that links straight back to the start, right?
Mm.
And like I said, like the content pillars act as a guide, but you really have to go down and speak about your niches, right?
Yeah.
For example, like looking at one of our clients that we did not long ago, we had personal character was one. One was branding, right? One was mentorship, and one
Yeah.
was business advice. So we knew those 4 pieces of content was what we build at her content around, right?
Yeah.
We build the content around the fact that, you know, it's about growing your personal character, your branding. How can I mentor you about my experience as a business owner and
Yeah.
how you can go about it, and then business advice as well, right? Because it was all about that type of thing, building your personal character through your branding, right? And then that wraps up all the business, the managing, all that type of thing. And so when we're given those content pillars, well, we make that like given back to us, right? When we put our minds around those content pillars, we go through every single one and we break it down. So going back to that example, personal character, what is it about personal character that we could provide value about, right?
Yeah.
So we'll sit there and we'll say, okay, being genuine sets you away from the market, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is when you're building your personal character, you're building your branding at the same time, right? 3, people love storytelling. So that when I'm creating content, we want to storytell. So it's not about finding different ideas. See, when you first start creating content, you keep thinking that you need this idea and this idea and this idea and this idea. It's not like that. It's one idea broken down into sections, right?
Exactly.
And each section has its own section, and each of that section has its own section. And it's like a little trail, right? Like a fucking lake, right?
Yeah.
And you choose which waterfall you want to go down. And the way you choose which waterfall you want to go down is by knowing who's enjoying the water the most, right? Which of your consumers are swimming in which waterfall. And then that's how you keep going. Then you go down that path. Then you break it down. That's why you see TikTok series up to part fucking 750.
Oh, no.
I'm like, bro, did you really get up to 750? You look back and they have.
Yeah.
It's because people actually enjoy the shit they're posting.
Especially there's part 76 of websites you didn't know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And you're sitting there like, bruh, 76 website? How the fuck did you go about that?
And let's be honest, like these websites, bro, that's like they find them from like down the earth. I don't even know how they find them.
Literally, because you look up the name and you can't find it, but if you find out the direct link, you can find it. And like that bloke is the only one who has all the direct links. Apparently,
it's crazy, bro.
He's got like the Google on his ass. Anyway, so it's like, go for it.
Go, finish.
Oh, I was gonna say like social media, like we always talk about this. It's not reality, right?
Yeah.
We don't sit here. Sometimes we did. We don't sit here and know what to speak about for hours and hours and hours. Just like, you know, I look at Mark, he looks at me and I'm like, you got it, bro. Like, obviously there's some planning that goes into it, right?
Yeah.
For this podcast, probably the least planning, I'd say, because we like to keep it fresh, right? We like to keep it very organic. But for example, when we're posting content and people are seeing quote after quote after quote, people are messaging me, oh, like, bro, where'd you steal that quote from? It's like I didn't, right? Like I wrote that shit. And they all link back to each other. And then like carousels, right? People are saying like, how do you come up with this many ideas that provide so much value? It's like, bro, we sat here for fucking 7 hours saying, this is what led to this, to this, to this, to this, and this is why it'll benefit. Like, don't think people are posting daily. Like they literally wake up and they start posting. They've planned it all before. Right. And that's the only way you can do it, unless you're fucking psycho like Jake Paul and do vlogs every day. But like really, it's the most consistent and maintainable way. And
that literally takes us into creation. Like let me give you an example and I'll get into it. Like for us, we have Fridays and Mondays of the week. Yeah. Those 2 days we wake up at 7 a.m. and we just grind the whole day, literally. Like sometimes we literally like normally it's meant to be 6 hours that we go on. Yeah. But I think, bro, like last week there was like a day where we literally went from like 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m.
Bro, it wasn't even like we didn't even look, we didn't flinch. We were just sitting there working for hours and hours and hours. And I'm looking at the time, I'm like, bro, it's 5. We're meant to finish at 2. I'm like, maybe he won't notice. I'll just keep going. And then, bro, I'm getting up for lunch right before the fucking podcast, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, bro. Where the fuck did the day go?
It's crazy like that, bro. And I'm just gonna give him like, I'll give you guys like an idea of what we have. Like for us, this is what we post: 5 carousels a week, 2 single posts, 14 TikToks. I mean, 20,
Each.
20, yeah, 14 TikToks, so that's 28.
Yep.
Again, we have 14 snippets of our podcast clips, 2 IGTVs a week, 3 video uploads on YouTube a week, and 7 articles. And
That's right.
like there's so many more that we haven't even listed, because those are like Twitter posts, engaging with our audience, whether it's what do you call it, LinkedIn, just normal posts and all that shit. So
Yeah.
how we get through all that is through those 2 days. If we didn't have those 2 days, one for planning and one for executing, we'd be literally like,
We'd be
we'd
screwed.
be so lost. And
For
that,
sure.
and I'll just touch on one more thing. And the reason we have like all these different kind of content is because when you're putting out different things every day, you're
Yeah.
gonna get more reach. More reach
sure.
means more audience. More audience means bigger following. Bigger following equals, I mean,
More
it
sales.
doesn't. We're
Not
not big on that,
necessarily,
yeah. But you know what I
Going
mean.
through it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long term
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me make this very clear. You could post consistently every day, but if your content is shit, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
yeah.
You could be consistently shit, right?
Yeah.
There's that exists. I've
Hmm.
seen people post daily and get nothing for a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me make it very clear that the difference between posting daily and relevantly has to do with the hashtags, right? The timing,
Yeah.
what you're actually posting as well. Like if you're not adapting your content almost on a weekly basis, you're probably lacking in the market. The way to be very relevant in the market and how to keep showing up, and how people ask us, like, why,
Yeah.
how did you provide this, right? People wouldn't ask unless it was relevant, right?
Mm.
If it wasn't relevant in their life, if we were talking about things specifically only social media managers will know about,
Yeah.
then normal everyday people wouldn't be messaging me, asking me how I go about shit, right?
Mm.
So that we've not only transformed the value that we're providing, but we've transformed it into being relevant to the average person, right? And we've
Yeah.
done that through hashtags, we've done that through cultural relevancy, and we've done that through predicting the market, right?
Mm.
And these 3 things are very hard things that a small business owner shouldn't have to deal with on that by themselves, right? Which is why we always recommend, if you really are trying to grow your personal branding and you're trying to get that growth that really impacts the message that you're trying to get across, hire someone to do it, right? Hire someone to get your ideas, ground your information, put your content in a certain way, study the market so that you don't have to. Because let me tell you, the message that you're bringing across is your effort,
Yeah.
right? You tell the person what you want them to do, right? And then, for example, it was us. We sit there and we break it down for you. Why do you want to do that? How is that going to impact the consumer's life? Why should people follow us after posting this level of content? And that's what it's all about. Because we don't want to sit here and make people believe that they can do all this by themselves. Yes, you can post consistently daily. Yes, you can learn hashtags. But can you remain relevant in a forever changing market that's focused on modern culture and modern relevancy? No, most likely not. If you don't put the time into it, and most small business owners don't have that time. They're too busy focused on the other things like operations, sales, blah, blah, blah. So it's like when you're putting that level of effort into your social media, yes, you probably will be able to get to that level where you would have hired someone. But I'm 90% sure that most people won't have that time. And that's why we always recommend delegating duties.
And it's also about skills. Like if you don't know how to edit shit, if you don't know how to do all that kind of shit, like what do you call it, copywriting and all that stuff,
Copywriting, content blogging, yeah,
exactly. Like you're literally gonna find yourself at a roadblock. And I'm not saying
sure.
like no one can do it. Yes, you can. Like we learned. Yeah, you just have to start. We learned. But if it's not something you enjoy doing, because I know a lot of people like with editing, they don't enjoy it, which leads to procrastination, which leads to not getting it done. Like for me, for example,
call me out more. Call me out more.
Hosby right here, yeah.
Anyway,
like
continue.
for me personally, I love editing. I can be sitting here for literally hours and editing, and Mark knows I literally sat down for 7 hours editing a 3-minute clip.
Bro, let me just mention. One day we were in a meeting and he was editing a clip. My man's face was like this, no cap, I swear to God, like this for 5 hours. I'm like, Mark, I think my internet cut out. He's like, why are you saying that? I'm like, bro, your face hasn't moved for 5 fucking hours. How was I meant to know that the camera was still working? It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Anyway,
and that's what it takes. It takes like you gotta do that shit. And it's let's go to number 3, which is experience, right? Of the of the 5 pillars. And experience is all about like knowing again, like all these 5 pillars, they're linked to each other.
Yeah, for sure.
So with experience, it's like knowing who you're targeting your what do you call it, your content to.
Yeah.
Who's gonna enjoy reading your content and shit like that? Is it SEO friendly, that it's gonna go through the algorithm? Is that people gonna find out about it? Is your CTA call, which is call to action, is it clear for people to know what you want them to do with this thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what it all goes back to, literally the start.
Yeah. For sure. And if you don't know this stuff, we're not telling you that you need to know it. And we're not telling you need to hire anyone so quickly. But we're telling you, if you want to get to that level where we're talking about and actually see the growth that we're talking about, like the guy from 0 to 500K, all this type of shit, then you need to either study the market or hire someone who knows it. Because if you don't understand what's going to be relevant, it doesn't matter how valuable you're going to provide. I've said this before. If you don't know how to promote your idea properly, no one gives a fuck about your idea at the end of the day, right? No one cares. No one cares. Exactly. And so definitely look into either delegating your duties or doing it yourself. And so let's just wrap up like quickly.
Yeah.
All the points we spoke about, just for anyone who's like on YouTube and they like skip through the fucking break, let him get to the point. So first thing is, we're doing this because people always ask us, how do we post consistently? Second thing is, social media is a fucking fad. It makes it look like people make content daily when really they sit there for batch content, like Mark, 7 hours staring at the computer like this for 7 hours. So that's really how it goes about. 3, ground your content in the information that you want to provide. Set your content pillars. Make them relevant to your audience. And if you don't know how to do that, ask someone. Us. Humble plug. 4th thing. Make sure that you're constantly reassessing it, right? Weekly reassessments, even daily reassessments of your content is so important. But we obviously don't recommend so early all the time, because you obviously want to see how it performs, right? Yeah. You don't want to be too quick on the gun, because sometimes, depending on what platform you're on, the way the market reacts to it can be delayed, right? And so if you're quick to rush without a market actually reacting to it, then you're going to make mistakes. Yeah. And for any other points, watch the rest of the video. Up our watch time.
Exactly. I'm just gonna wrap it up with the last 2 pillars. And what the number 4 is promotion. With promotion is basically like knowing where you're gonna put your content. Like I said before, you have one piece of content, you gotta find the right place to put it. Don't put it on every single platform.
That's right.
With number 5, insights, you gotta make sure you're looking into the insights. Each platform's literally gives you like the thing, analytics and shit like that. Yeah. So you can literally track down your analytics of each post and know which one is performing well and which one is not, and who people are resonating more with. You know what I mean? And
for sure,
that's a wrap.
And that can be hard to look at the stats as well. Like, you have to contextualize all those stats, and if you don't know how to do it, either Google it or ask us. Like, you know, because those numbers don't mean shit if you don't understand what the numbers indicate, right? Exactly. And so if you're looking at your watch time and it's low and you're like, oh shit, guess my video is trash. No, probably the value you have is good. It's just the way you made it was trash. Exactly. And so so guys, if you're new here, or we promote a small business owner, influencer, whatever, anyone that wants to shout out their shit at the end of every single episode. If you're interested in that, DM me one. If you're on any of the other social media platforms, if you're on Facebook, go look at our bio, it's in the link, and I will repost that now. Today we have Nikita. So Nikita was a previous guest of mine, and she wanted a shout out because she wanted to shout out being positive and showing love to the world. So shout out Nikita for being positive and showing love to the world, the most important principles in business, in my opinion. And what's it called? And she's a singer as well. So go check out her Instagram if there's anything that you guys want to see. If you don't remember, we did an episode with her not long ago, so go check her out. It's NIKKYTXX on Instagram, and she's all about NKNT, being positive and showing love. So thanks so much, Nikita.
It is
awesome. And so guys, if you guys have any questions, just reach out in our DMs. If you're new here, thank you so much for coming. We are a daily podcast called Hit It Where It Hurts. We go live